gentlemen, we are delayed because of train traffic ahead of us. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Sometimes we don't need a hurry.
A regular New York City commute. Looks familiar, right? We've all been here, some more times than we care to admit. Crowded trains and buses, having to stand and wait for longer than we like, and reducing ourselves to sardines are just some of the things we just love to hate about the MTA. But what if we can tell you there was a way to reduce the amount of people on trains? What if we were to tell you that by doing so, we would also be helping many other people in ways that just don't involve transit? All the city of New York needs to do is realize that there is more to it than just Manhattan. Right now, over 600,000 people commute from the outer boroughs into Manhattan for work. Commute times average around 40 minutes or over, not counting for delays, which, if we're honest, happen more often than not. People are always asking, why can't the MTA get its act together? Well, sorry to not ring with the masses, but we have our own questions. Why can't businesses move out of Manhattan and into the other surrounding parts of New York City? We have 5 boroughs. Why are the other 4 ignored for Manhattan? Sure, Brooklyn and Queens get a few moments in the sun, but everyone believes Manhattan is where it's at. Why must everything come to Manhattan and not the other way around for once? All this has a serious and detrimental effect on the growth of New York's citizens in these boroughs. Over 30% of low-income workers can't accept jobs outside their neighborhood because transit fares have increased to a point where it's a serious drain to their budget. Add this to how difficult it is to get to shifts at night or on the weekend, and you got the formula for some unhappy campers. It makes sense why many New Yorkers have decided to just give up on transit altogether. They decided working nearby is much easier than going into the city. However, most jobs offered outside Manhattan are mainly in retail and healthcare. There's a lack of variety. We want the people of these boroughs to feel as they should, a part of New York City. To do this, our plan is simple. Decentralize businesses from inside Manhattan to increase job variety in the other 4 boroughs while also reducing commute times. We plan to go about this in parts. The first part will bring businesses to the people by making building and operating outside Manhattan cost effective. To do this, we took a look at what taxes could do for you. To drive up desire, we need to make the 4 other boroughs cheaper to establish in. Our first suggestion would be to expand the commercial rent tax and relocation and employment assistance program. We can expand them to cover more amounts of rent. Cap the price flow below $250,000. With this, people can look more towards areas where the value is less to help build it up. That way, people can see the value of the other boroughs over Manhattan's skyscrapers. Yet, we find a problem with this. It comes in the form of a simple economic principle of supply and demand. Even if the demand were to go up more, these boroughs do not have the ability to support large businesses. Brooklyn is going through this kind of crisis right now. As we can show you, there are more available office spaces in New York than there are in Brooklyn. People want to buy office spaces in certain areas in Brooklyn, yet cannot find exactly what they want. So from what we can see, once you make a borough valuable, people will want to move there. It happened to Brooklyn, still going on actually, but it has reached an impasse. How does it get through it? Well, as a famous person I cannot remember once said, you can only go up from here. We move from taxes to another interestingly dry subject, laws. When comparing Manhattan to other boroughs, it is akin to comparing Alex to Sydney. One is obviously much taller. Manhattan has more skyscrapers than trees, towering over its citizens like a team of basketball players. But why must Manhattan burden themselves with all of these tall buildings? The tallest building in Manhattan is nearly triple the size of the tallest building in Brooklyn and Queens, and so much more so than the Bronx and Staten Island. If we could increase the number of floors and buildings, there will be more available office space. Yes, there is a small problem where people may not want to split their offices between floors. However, with the increasing value of the surrounding neighborhood and a willing workforce, it can make a few sacrifices. Once businesses start to move into other areas, the surrounding neighborhood will start to notice some changes. This can be seen as improvements in infrastructure, a decrease in crime, and an influx of new residents. These new residents follow the scent of available jobs. They move as close to work as possible. It's this new influx of residents that helps spur along change. It brings a new, fresh culture to a neighborhood. And the more people that move to a neighborhood also help increase its value. It makes people go, "What's going on over there? I want to see too. It must be really cool if it's really popular." Huh, I guess it's true. You never truly leave high school. This process has a name: gentrification. Sounds similar to that Baratheon bastard, Gendry. Well, that's not the only similarity. Like the fate of this man of royal blood, people who once lived in neighborhoods pre-gentrification find themselves unable to fit in with the changes afflicting their area and are cast out far away as well. However, we do not want these new residents to come before the residents we moved businesses over here for. This is where the next phase of our proposal comes into play, making sure we keep residents in their homes. We moved these jobs out to them to reduce transit times. It would make no sense to push them back out further because they couldn't afford the rent. When neighborhoods become more valuable, people start to see an increase in their rent. Like in a recent study, it shows that the closer you get to the city along transit lines, the higher you have to pay. The closer you are to the city, the less amount of time spent in transit, ergo, those apartments are all the more valuable. Yet, soon enough, the prices are going to increase to a point where people will be screaming, "How we gonna pay? How we gonna pay? How we gonna pay?" We want these people to get some of the jobs we're bringing to them. Mayor Bill de Blasio has already started this by helping bring rent control laws into effect. Yet we feel this is not enough for the situation these residents are facing. So we look to a shining beacon of hope that can do no wrong. Yes, we look to Canada. Our first idea: elect a Trudeau-like figurehead to help solve all our problems. Bernie has not been doing so well in the polls, however, so we had to try another idea. Vancouver had put in place a system once its cost of living got too high. To alleviate the stress of being evicted, the government supplied coupons to renters that safeguarded them from eviction for a short period of time while they found a way to catch up with the city. We suggest a similar idea: coupons good for 3 years to give time for people to try and find good paying jobs. People want to find jobs they believe they deserve. Give them the safety of a roof over their head, they will find it. And since it's 3 years, those that couldn't can't say they weren't given a chance. This helps keep landlords from applying pressure to renters to move. De Blasio's new law also does this, but only in rent-controlled apartments. It doesn't take into account the entire neighborhood, just the buildings they know have caps on their prices. However, this is also a good idea too. Rent control. The government needs to put a limit on how much a person has to spend for a place to sleep. It cannot be too low, we understand. But look, in the city there are places where average rent is around $4,100. These areas have developed already, but what of neighborhoods that follow in their footsteps? We cannot push these people away. We need to set a reasonable cap on prices so landlords cannot overcharge. A final push to help keep renters where they live is to enforce good, reliable care from landlords and supers. A tactic favored by owners of buildings is to let it fall into disrepair, forcing people to move so they can live in a home without fear of dying. Once gone, the landlords refurbish and charge ridiculous prices for rooms that never cost that much to begin with. Helping expand and create programs like de Blasio's Tenant Enforcement Unit can help increase the spread of government support to renters. Yes, prices can increase based on the demand of a room and the value of a surrounding area, but it should be gradual and reasonable, and definitely not spiked. However, we don't want to keep all new people out of these neighborhoods. They are coming to these neighborhoods because they don't have that many ties hampering them from moving for the job. It's not just original renters that want something better for themselves, but these people as well. But with both new and old people, how can we possibly fit everyone into these neighborhoods? Again, we look to the skies. And no, that doesn't mean launching people into the sun. We tried that with garbage. Didn't work. Now he's running for office. We build up. Build more places for people to live in. In a city that's 3/4 renters, you'd think everyone would have a place to live. Sadly, that is not the case. Even with over 2 million occupied apartments, there are still around 60,000 homeless. De Blasio, with another recent bill, has addressed this issue by allowing 1 or 2 more additional levels to rental units if they choose so. However, we think it may need to be a tad more. New York City will always be a whirlpool, drawing more and more people in, as if this city is the famed Charybdis of Odyssean legend. We are the center of so much that it attracts people of all kinds. We need to give everybody a place to say, so we can make sure that they are able to give back to the overall community of New York. This presentation started from, trains are crowded, let's try and fix that. It became a way to change New York City for the better. That's all we want, and we know it's what you want too.
Side effects of a long commute time include increased blood sugar levels, weaker immune systems, digestive and reproductive health problems, lower mood levels, a decrease in motivation, high cholesterol, high BMI, high blood pressure, increased stress levels, heart disease, diabetes, asthma, depression, boredom, social isolation, frustration.
Contact your local politician to see if longer commute times are right for you.